Hey guys, in today's video, I want to talk about features that Apple completely killed off or changed in iOS 17. Now, oftentimes, of course, when we update our iPhones, we're usually just looking for some of the new features and changes. But hear me out. Apple has actually changed entirely or completely killed off a few features on your iPhone with iOS 17 update, and I wanted to share those with you guys in this video. Now, as always, if you would like to stay up to date with the latest iOS news and Apple software updates, of course, don't forget to subscribe and make sure you turn on those notifications so that you don't miss another episode. So for starters, on the lock screen, if we go into customizing the wallpapers, Apple usually just removes the old wallpapers, which is kind of weird to me to see this. So if we go into adding a new wallpaper here and we go to the collections category, so there it is, the collections on iOS 17 and collections on iOS 16. You see that the wallpaper has been replaced, of course, with the iOS 17 wallpaper, and the iOS 16 wallpaper is no longer here. So Apple completely killed off the iOS 16 wallpaper with iOS 17, which in my opinion doesn't make any sense. I wish Apple would just bring back every single classic wallpaper and have it back on the iPhone, or at least let users choose whether they delete it or keep it on their phones, because a lot of the Apple wallpapers are actually pretty nice in my opinion. Now this next one is not that big of a deal, so I'm not that upset about it, but in iOS 16, if we turn off rotation lock, right, we can actually go into landscape mode in settings. Well, in iOS 17, let me tell you, if you go and turn off the rotation lock and you go into settings, you no longer get settings in landscape, which is a bit of a bummer. I like this feature on iOS 16 and it is no longer here with iOS 17. You can no longer go into landscape mode in settings. Now this next one I hope is a bug, but if you're watching a video or a movie or a TV show on your iPhone's default media player, in iOS 16 you can actually fast forward by swiping just like so on the display itself. It is such an awesome feature. You can go forward or backwards just by simply swiping on the display. iOS 17, nope, you can no longer do that. Again, I hope this is a bug, but it looks like iOS 17 got rid of this feature, which I really love, and it works throughout the entire operating system as long as you're using Apple's default media player to watch YouTube videos, movies, TV shows, or any content on your iPhone. A bit of a bummer. Now, next I want to shift my attention over to some of the features that Apple has changed, and eventually I think they will completely killed off with iOS 17 in the future. And I want to start off with Siri. So if we go into settings here and find the Siri extension, so let's go here. In iOS 16, of course, you have the ability to enable the particular phrase that you use in order to enable Siri. I don't want to say the phrase, of course, to not activate your devices, but you have the hey and then the assistant's name, right? The toggle here to enable it. In iOS 16, you have three options actually. You have turning off completely. You have the hey plus the name in order to activate the assistant, or you can choose to just say the name of the assistant. You can just say Siri and it will activate. And this is something that I think is a path where Apple is taking Siri, so eventually removing the hey before the name in order to use Siri on everything, right? You don't have to say the hey command before the name, very similar to Alexa on the Amazon devices, where you just say, Alexa, do this, do that. You don't have to say any command before the name. So I think Apple is going to do away with the hey word before the command in order to actually get Siri to activate on your iPhone. And now, another thing I've noticed is that within iOS 17, Apple has removed the toggle for ambient noise reduction when you're in a phone call. So no longer do you have a toggle in settings for iOS 17. This will be enabled by default on every iPhone that supports this feature. So this feature basically works with the microphone in the back in order to reduce ambient noise when you're in a call. So this was a toggle in iOS 16, no longer there in iOS 17. Now, last but not least, this feature is within iMessage, and I'm a bit bummed out about this one because I really enjoy this carousel on the bottom portion of the display. So right here, if you scroll through this carousel, you have your photos, your app store, your Apple Cash, your voice memos, your stickers, and everything else you add on to here is available right there, right below the actual keyboard here. So if we go into iOS 17, the first thing you notice is that this is no longer there. You just get the keyboard and the input text, and then you have this plus icon here that allows you to bring up this menu that just looks kind of weird in my opinion. I'm hoping that Apple will change this. It just doesn't go with the entire OS in my opinion. This just looks like an entirely different operating system at this point. So you can just tap on the plus icon here. I think a lot of people may like this, but I prefer the carousel old school style that we had in iOS 16. But yeah, if you click more, you have more options, of course, here to browse through. I guess Apple is just trying to do more in regards to the spacing in the keyboard and things like that. But I prefer the iOS 16 version when it comes to the keyboard shortcuts there that we have right below in iOS 16 right there under where you input the text instead of having this plus icon. Let me know which one you prefer. In my opinion, I prefer iOS 16 style there for the keyboard shortcuts. And there you guys have it. These are some of the features and things that Apple has changed or either killed off with iOS 17. Oftentimes we don't think about Apple removing things or changing things dramatically, but these are some of the things that did change throughout iOS 17. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.